Hello and welcome to the Finance Insider, brought to you by Times Radio in partnership with Elavon. Today we're diving into the world of hospitality from the angle that matters most to you. What actually makes the guest experience smoother, faster and more memorable? Our guest has a frontline view of how payments, tech and customer expectations are all evolving and what businesses need to keep up. From seamless checkouts to connected, personalised service, he knows exactly where the industry is headed and what that means for anyone working in or relying on hospitality. Today's Finance Insider and Elavon's Head of Hospitality, Paul Ferguson. Paul, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's great to be here, Maddie.
You have had over 20 years experience in payments. How has the industry changed over that time?
Yeah, over 2 decades now, and it's been remarkable. Actually, I must be enjoying it too much because that time has went rather quickly. We went from zip-zap machines with paper vouchers to chip and pin to contactless to digital wallets and all the various ways that you can pay nowadays. It's been incredible, the amount of change over that period of time, and so it continues.
What specific trends did you see in that transition?
Well, if you think about back in the day, it was using paper, and look at what we're using now in terms of payments. That digital acceleration, the technologies that we use nowadays to compare to what we used previously. And I think the days we talk about embedded and integrated payments, we're moving into something we call invisible payments. I'd never have thought of that terminology when we were using paper. So we've seen lots of developments over the years.
Did you find that businesses, big or small, were quite stubborn in that changing nature over the last 10, 20 years?
I think it took a while for them to change, absolutely. But then there's the piece around, if you don't change, what happens? You get left behind. So I think inevitably, and I work in the large corporate space, the large corporates knew that they had to move forward with technology, and they have.
What role does payments data play in identifying new opportunities for growth?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions around data. And one of the metaphors I've heard for data is it's like oil, where it only becomes useful when you refine it. Yeah, and I think that does apply to data. And I think it's a really good metaphor, actually. One of the things I would say, though, is that we had to adhere to GDPR guidelines. And we're very cautious and very mindful of how we use data. That said, it has its place in payments, from reconciliation through to chargebacks and fraud prevention, customer spends and trends, and the loyalty piece, and trying to understand where your customers spend and how do you get that repeat business. And we run a program at Elavon for optimization that really hones in on that and tries to help our merchants, both from efficiencies and for growth.
Your role as head of hospitality is obviously quite crucial because that's a big industry as part of your customers. So how have you been able to, help them? Because in hospitality, speed and efficiency, working in bars, cafes is so crucial. So what has it been like from your point of view, making sure that they get what they need?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think that technology has really played its part in that. And hospitality is really important for us at Elavon. It's a leading vertical in Europe and North America. So it's supporting our large corporates to move forward with technology. But it's demanded by the consumer. The consumer has an expectation in terms of new technologies, how they pay. And it's making sure that our large corporates move at that pace to satisfy the consumer demand. And again, if they don't move forward, I think there's probably a fear of losing out or being left behind.
Well, what is the biggest difference for operators then and now when it comes to this speed and efficiency for these hospitality companies?
Yeah, I think it's about, seamless and frictionless payments. There's a demand for that. And that's the space that our large corporates need to be in and continue to move forward with. Consumers demand that. It's almost like a painless experience for payments, and making sure that you're looking forward to provide that for consumers.
Many businesses fear disruption, as we've spoken about. I mean, the emergence of AI has been quite a struggle for a lot of companies, even tech companies, to really get on board with. So how should leaders be pushing forward with payment transformation?
Yeah, and you mentioned the word fear there. There's that fear. Yeah, there's the fear of change. And the way I look at it is the fear of being left behind. So if you don't provide that technology and the seamless transactions that are expected, you're probably going to create a pathway for your competition. So make sure that you're on the front foot and providing that technology that consumers expect.
Are you finding that smaller or bigger hospitality businesses have been more apprehensive with emerging technology, with emerging AI?
I think it's been a mix, really. It's been a mix from what I've seen. I think one of the interesting things which applied to all of whether you're a large customer or a small customer, if we reflect back to the pandemic and how that accelerated technology and how that really pushed businesses, large or small, to make changes. I'm thinking about in restaurants where we see quite a change there from what it was before to where it is. So pandemic really played a part in many areas for advancing technology. It certainly did that in payments.
Can you walk me through more broadly about how AI and the hospitality sector are working hand in hand?
Yeah, it's a big question. AI is such a big topic. And my view on AI is that it's horizontal. It'll impact all businesses, some more than others, some less than others. And I think payments and hospitality will be no different. I think that an AI and agentic AI will change the way we research, how we pay, how we shop for goods and services. And then we'll see an evolution of digital wallets that will facilitate what many people are calling invisible payments. So from an AI perspective, it's big in payments and hospitality. Actually, and it's a good example of this. If you think about if you were booking a trip for New York and how you would go about that, how would you would look at the airlines, you'd go online, what airline do I want to fly with? Am I flying into JFK? Am I flying to New York? I might want a hotel. I want to be in Times Square. Is it 3-star, 4-star? You might want to go to the Empire State Building or a theatre show, and then you might want to go to see the Yankees or the Mets. You're doing all that. You're thinking about all that and all those options. As we move into agentic AI, it's actually the agent that will do that for you. And this is where the difference comes. The agent will do all the research, find the best outcomes for you, and then it will book it and pay it for you. And that's quite the evolution.
Elavon's head of hospitality, Paul Ferguson, thank you very much. That's all we have time for on this edition of the Finance Insider, brought to you by Times Radio and Elavon. See you next time.